Hello, everyone. Welcome to the November IEN coaches meeting. Uh, we're almost to Thanksgiving. We were just chatting about when we all get off for Thanksgiving break, so I think we'll be able to make it. If you haven't signed in on the agenda yet, please do so. The link is pinned in chat, and if you can't find it, we can keep dropping the link every so often so we can make sure we record your attendance. As always, if you're watching later, you can find the agenda in the same spot it always is, and if you need help with that, let us know. So quickly for last meeting follow-up, we have Nintendo codes for Nintendo Online, Super Smash Bros., Mario Kart, and the DLCs with an asterisk, which we'll talk about in a second, available for you to use on your school-owned equipment. If you have not yet requested those, you can do so at the link there in the form. Make sure that you are only using these on school-owned equipment and for the teams that are competing, but we do have not necessarily enough codes to go around to give everyone everything they want, but we should have enough codes to get you all what you need. So make sure you go ahead and do that. We are still waiting on DLC Fighter Pack 2 for Smash Brothers and the DLC maps for Mario Kart. There have been promises about when we'll have those in hand. The latest promise is very soon. So hopefully we'll be able to distribute those. If you have already requested them, you don't need to re-request them. We've got them in the backlog. But just know that if you fill that out super soon in the future, we won't necessarily have those codes yet, but we will have them quickly. There was the Discord reorganization. If you're not seeing things you would like to be seeing in Discord, just make sure you have the correct roles. If you need help with that, let us know. If something goes wrong during a match, Discord is the easiest way to get a quick answer. You can also email us, and there's also the infraction report link there that generates a more formal paper trail for us to follow through on things. The last thing we talked about was how you can help IEN. We're still collecting testimonials. We used those at HEC, and they were successful, but it'll still be nice to have more. And how you can support IEN financially at no cost to you. So that's helpful for us as well. On to new business. IMSEN Playoffs are live for the fall. Playoff schedule should be visible for all of those. A lot of you have already played those matches if you're in a middle school. The playoff schedule does run right up to the week of finals, which we know is not ideal, but kind of a necessity due to the nature of the calendar and not wanting to get too close to winter break. So what that means is if your team might qualify for middle school championships, which are in person at Trine University, start making those plans now. Assume that you're going even if you might not get that far, because it's easier to cancel plans than it is to make them at the last minute. So please be starting those conversations with your administration, figuring out transportation if you believe your varsity team might qualify for the championships. Like we just mentioned, IEN Winter Finals is December 13th at Trine University. That is in-person finals for middle school Minecraft, Fortnite, and Mario Kart Varsity, and Unified Smash Brothers. We'll also have some showcase matches for high schools. If you are a high school coach interested in attending one of those showcase matches, you can fill out the interest form there. We're not sure exactly how many teams we will invite. It will depend on who expresses interest and for what games. But the idea is to invite some schools to have a high school showcase as part of that event as well. Linked here in the agenda, you'll find the finals schedule and the registration form if you will be attending finals with your students. Even if you won't be attending with students, if you want to come and see what it's like, if you haven't been to an in-person event yet, you're welcome to attend. We just asked you to fill out that registration form as well. As always, if you have questions about things as we're going through the meeting, please just drop them in chat. We'll address them, and then at the end of the meeting, we can make sure we unmute and cover any other details. High school fall split is also completed with the regular season. Mostly. There are some matches that need to be rescheduled and made up. Ideally, those occur by the 28th of November, but we need them completed no later than the 12th of December. If you would like to reschedule a match for after that November 28th deadline, open up a ticket in Discord so we can manually do that. Right now, we have reschedules only allowed by the user up until that date. So we're still allowing provisionally reschedules after that on a case-by-case basis. Just let us know, and we can do that. Competition Council. So, some of you have been around long enough to remember the Competition Council. It was kind of tasked with adjudicating rule decisions and things that came up during matches as a way to kind of source that instead of being one person. It was a community or a group making that decision. It also kind of evolved into some other things and then eventually became really nebulous and not really functioning in any way. So we kind of did away with the competition council a few years ago, knowing that it would come back in some form eventually, and that's now in a different form. So what the competition council is really going to be now is how do we elevate IEN competitions to the next level? How do we make a better environment for all of us as coaches and schools, and evaluating things like are we doing it the right way? You know, James mentioned in text at the earlier meeting, like how do we help prevent burnout? How do we make sure that this is sustainable? Is our season structure the way it should be? Is our division structure the way it should be? So we don't ever just kind of assume that things are right or correct. We're always looking to improve. And we want to involve more of you in the process of what that looks like. We've got a ton of ideas, and some of them are crazy, and some of them are, very trivial to make. So we're inviting more of you to be a part of that process. If you are interested in that, you can click on that application link and fill it out. It Don't misunderstand. We're not going to take everyone who fills out the application, but if you would express interest, and we will decide and invite some of you to that council. A few of you, maybe even in this meeting, have already received an invite and accepted that position because we've already had conversations, and you're part of the reason that this occurred in the first place. But if that sounds like something you would like to be involved in, let us know. It's not necessarily a reoccurring time commitment in terms of meetings. We're not looking to add more to anyone's plate, ourselves included, but we're looking to get more voices in the conversation of how do we continue to make IEN better, and what does the future of esports in Indiana look like. So that link is there. It'll kind of be a rolling admittance. It's not like there's a strict deadline, but if there are other people that are not even in this meeting that you think might be good, feel free to invite them to fill out that form as well. But that'll be something you hear more about in the future, and not necessarily immediately, because we'll have to get these people up to speed, and we'll have to start having some of these conversations. But more than anything, the invitation is there, and know that we're continually evaluating not just what we do and how we do it, but what it could look like for the future to be better. Upcoming events is the exciting part of the meeting. There's a lot going on. Um, it seems like we're just doing a lot more this year than we have ever in the past. Thank you for those of you that brought students to HEC and were there. I think HEC was a great experience. It was the first time that anything like that had occurred, and we've gotten some good feedback already. There were some pretty cool opportunities that have spawned as a result as well. So thank you to those of you that helped and made that possible. Hopefully your students had a good time, and hopefully we get invited back to do it next year in a bigger, more central space, and can showcase more of our schools to everybody else in Indiana. But events that are actually upcoming, we're having a few more community opens that are coming up. So we have 2XKO Community Open. If you're not familiar with that, which none of the rest of the board were when I brought it up again last night, it's Riot's new fighting game title. It is in open beta currently, and it looks like it's going to be a pretty supported title at the esports level. So if you are interested in that, there's a community open that is going to start on December 9th. It'll be like a one-night Swiss sort of tournament. The LeagueOS page is there. You can also find it. We're going to have a graphic that we'll be able to share in Discord that you'll be able to share with your students coming up as well. So registration is open currently. All the details, the rulebook are linked there as well. James from Harrison, I think he's in chat, but maybe on mobile, he's helping lead that up. So we'll make a Discord channel for you to ask questions as well. But just start talking to your students about that. It's another opportunity for maybe you to reach students who aren't in your esports program yet, but are looking to play these sorts of titles. A good, easy entry point for them with this one-day tournament that is online only. There's an Extron webinar coming up on December 2nd. I guess I have those out of order. Huh. Extron is a company that we've started partnering with recently. They were actually at HEC. You probably, if you attended, you met some of them. They are an AV integration specialist, not just for esports, but for all scholastic and academic, sorts of environments. They did a really good job of integrating all the AV in our room and helped us with that. So they've also partnered with the national nonprofit of state scholastic leagues called ISEA to partner with this and offer this webinar. So this is a national opportunity for us that you can attend for free. It's 5 p.m. on December 2nd. You just have to click on that link. Um, they're they're going to give you a lot of great information and opportunities for your school. They also have a grant program that they do that they'll talk more about, and we can help you apply for. They Heck was our first real interaction with them, and I think all of the board agrees that it was positive, and they've got a lot of great resources that they can share with us and with you. So an easy way to help learn more about that and support that endeavor is attending that webinar. So that link is there. I'll also make a calendar event on Discord to help remind all of you. Spring registration is opening soon. Actually, it opens on December 1st, so everyone will need to re-register. Even if you're already registered for varsity, there's a process of checking a box basically to make sure we know you're still active. We will make video walkthroughs on how to do that. There will be a way to do it in the old V1 version of LeagueOS, but also in V2, which is a dashboard. That migration process is occurring soon, so be on the lookout for more information there as well. We're not going to release the videos until registration opens because it might change between now and then. So unfortunately, we can't preload a lot of that information for you, but just know that that will be available by the time the registration opens on December 1st. We're also going to have help sessions. They're listed there, December 9, 11, 15, and 18, February 5th through 9th. All of those are at 7 p.m. Eastern. So if you ever need help with registration, just jump into one of those calls. We'll help you. We'll walk through the entire process with you. Even if you haven't started yet, we'll make sure you get completely registered. So don't forget about those registration sessions as well. We're going to start what I guess is named the IEN LAN series. We haven't really come up with a great name for this. It's a proof of concept initially. So the idea is we want to offer more in-person students or in-person opportunities for students. I think when students get a chance to see their opponent in person and compete in front of others, it really changes their perspective on what esports can be. And we want to offer that to more and more of you around the state. We also realize travel in Indiana can be difficult. It's hard to get funding for that, and some schools were asking to drive, 6+ hours across the state. So, the idea is we have lots of college and university partners around the state who have esports programs at their institutions. Let's utilize that. So what we're going to do is kind of a distributed LAN. Instead of asking you to travel to a single place, you'll be able to pick whichever college campus is closest to you and travel there for an in-person event that is then kind of part of a larger circuit of college campuses around the state. We're going to kind of proof of concept run this in February. And then if all goes well, which I assume it will, the idea is this will be a monthly occurrence during the school year, next school year in 26-27. So be on the lookout for a lot more information there. We do have a list of campuses we're looking at. We have approximately 14 campuses around the state who have expressed interest. I can't guarantee that they will all be a part of every event we run, but we have basically every corner of the state represented. So you should be able to travel a fairly short distance to get to one of these in-person events. Look out for more specific information about the February event soon, probably in December. We'll give which campuses are participating and open up registration for that to give you enough time. There's even the chance that these colleges will be able to provide free food for your students and other opportunities through the admissions department. So I'm personally really excited about this. I like the idea of giving you all opportunities to travel with your students in a way that's less burdensome than asking you all to come up to Fort Wayne to play at Fort Land or something like that. So again, more information on that coming soon. We're going to run another community open for NBA 2K coming up probably in February, a specific date to be listed soon. But this is another one of those titles that we haven't been able to offer historically due to exclusivity agreements and certain cease and desists that have been sent out on behalf of certain parties. But the climate's changing enough, and frankly, we're willing to push the envelope that we're going to try some things. So we're going to run an NBA 2K Community Open in February, which is going to be an online Swiss tournament, open up to anyone as a member school, but not necessarily a normal student in your esports program, right? It might not be a player that's currently on one of your teams. Maybe you recruit specifically for this or advertise to get more students in your program. Because I really believe offering something like NBA 2K is going to open up our esports programs to a lot of different students who aren't competing in the other titles. The really exciting part about that is that's going to transition into an opportunity with the Indiana Pacers. So this is really newly developing. I've had a few meetings since heck about this. But the basic idea is we're going to hold an event at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in downtown Indy in partnership with the Indiana Pacers as a career exploration fair sort of thing, where Pacers personnel from things like the team management side, from marketing and digital design, broadcasting, IT, cybersecurity, 5 or 6 different fields within their organization are going to present to our students about what their job is and career opportunities that students might not have thought existed in something like an MBA organization. We're also going to be able to take the top 4 from that NBA 2K Community Open and have them play live at Gainbridge during that event as well, which is going to be crazy. So the idea is we're going to try to do this in March. But in order to kind of solidify that, we need to have, I don't want to say an assurance, but a good estimation that enough of you are interested in presenting this to your students and enough of you are getting students to come that it'll be worth it. So what we need to commit to is selling 100 tickets. And the group rate tickets for the game that we're looking at in March are like $15 a piece. It's a pretty small ask for students. So what would be good, and we'll make a poll in Discord as well, but if you could start kind of thinking about, is this something that we could probably do? So we're looking at Wednesday, March, what did I say, 18th, I believe? 18th. Wednesday, March 18th. It's the game would be 7 p.m. We'd probably start the activities around 5 p.m. is when we would ideally have you there and run this panel and competition stuff until about 6:30, and then the game would start at 7. So this is not a firm commitment, but before we put a deposit down and before we move forward with this, in the next like day or two, ideally, which is why Nick, yes, I saw your message about teasing this, but our timetable got bumped up a little bit. We want to make sure we reserve this and have enough time to really do this well. So what we're looking for from you is a soft commit of like, hey, this is cool. We want to do this. I think I could probably bring some students. This can be students in your esports program, families of those students as well. We don't have to limit it just to kids in your program. Now, we want this to be your esports students plus family. We don't just necessarily want you to just bring, 100 kids just from your school because they want to. There is a maximum cap on this as well. So let's start with students in your esports program and maybe like families or siblings, and then go from there. But my initial thought is 100 people is easy, right? I don't think we'll have trouble with that. I just want some sort of agreement from you all as a collective group to like, yes, that should be fine before we put a deposit down and get going. So I'll put a poll in Discord. If you have questions about that, we can start answering some questions. There aren't a ton of details other than the date we're looking at again is March 18, and the game time is 7 p.m. So be thinking about, does that work for you bringing some students? Does that work for even parents coming with their students and driving separately? I'm sure there will be tons of questions as we get closer, but for now, again, initial commitments of, yes, this sounds like something that we want to do. Yes, we'll work on pursuing this with students. And yes, I think I can bring some number of them. So hopefully that was specific enough to give you enough information to be thinking about. Yes, I know it's still vague because it's still being formed as we speak. Nick, Chris, other board members, did I miss anything? Questions. We can scroll through chat.
Yeah, there was a question about the rule set and game codes.
Yes. Do we have codes and rules set for 2K? Developing that soon. We have to make sure that we know what we want to do. The thought is right now, at least, that this will be solos. We know there's like team components for 2K as well, but in order to offer it to the most schools and frankly to not have to bring in a whole bunch of consoles or machines to Gainbridge Fieldhouse to offer, 4 teams of 5v5s, we're going to start with solos for this. There are other future opportunities. This will be Nick's little teasing bit that we're looking at to make an even bigger event involving more of our students and more games like Rocket League for a time in the future that may or may not involve actually playing on the arena floor at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. So lots of cool things coming up, but for this event in March, what we're looking for is the college and career aspect, getting students a chance to see what sorts of careers exist, having a fun social outing in downtown Indy, and then having that 2K proof of concept for scaling. Still figuring things out. Yes, middle school, yes, for 2XKO is teen, I believe, so as long as you have that permission for that, then that should be good. I mean, it's like your normal 13-year-old thing for Fortnite, right, Anthony? If you have that permission for them to do Fortnite, then I would think 2XKO falls in the same bit. List of campuses, yeah, we'll come back and talk about that once we get more firm commitments. Console, yeah, Drew, we're still working out details for platform for NBA 2K. We will probably have PCs at the in-person event, but I believe it's cross-platform for the online one. We'll just have to check and make sure because I'm not 100%. Are we any closer to knowing where high school state finals will be held? Keaton, do you want the politically correct answer or do you want the real answer? The answer is not at the moment. So it would be, if we had our way, we would have announced it already and had that all nailed down. But we are working with a few other organizations and trying to do something even bigger and grander than we have in the past, which does slow things down a bit. So the hope is to announce it as soon as possible. There are a few options. I don't want to name them yet, but Keaton, one of them is pretty close to you in a fairly high-profile new building. If you're interested in what that might be, talk to Keaton. Where can I find more info about the NBA 2K offering? There's not any real documentation yet. Lucas you're closer than you could be, I suppose. The NBA 2K things are, like I said, very recently developed. The other board members heard a lot of that information the same time you all did because I had a meeting earlier today. So be on the lookout for more concrete information within the next week. And we'll be able to get you some documentation on specifically what that is and looks like. Tetris is not going to be in person at finals, correct? We're doing the online Tetris finals for middle school on the 8th on LandFest stream. So there were, I believe you all got polled by Nick, and the consensus was like, yeah, no, not doing Tetris live in person. So we called the audible to do that online. Any other questions in chat for the good of everyone? Or anything board members thought of as I was rambling? All right. Just personally, I'm really excited about all these opportunities that we're exploring and bringing to you. There's even more that I didn't put in here. There's a cybersecurity league that's starting that will be able to offer your students a chance to compete in some cybersecurity competitions, potentially in partnership with the Department of Homeland Security and the Indiana Office of Technology. There's a potential to get like accreditation for Unreal Design and Unreal Editor. There's lots of things that we're doing to try to offer more and more opportunities to your students. So be on the lookout for all these things. Discord is the spot for all of them for sure. But if you thought you heard something and can't remember, reach out and ask, and we'll be happy to relay these things. If you know other coaches who weren't here tonight, just remind them like, hey, these recordings are posted. Because we do want to be sure that everyone knows of these things that we're offering. On that note, 26 minutes is still a pretty good time for a coaches meeting, I think, especially those of you that have been around for a while. As always, if you want to hang out and ask specific questions, if you want more information, if you want to try to pry out these locations from me after the recorded meeting is done, feel free to do that. As always, above all else, let us know how we can help. Our goal is to do everything we can to help you and to make the best environment for our students possible. So let us know and enjoy your Thanksgiving break. Enjoy your off season now that we're finally done with the regular season. Make sure you keep those dates in mind for the spring split registration. The deadline is pretty quick in January after a lot of us come back from winter break, so make sure that's on your radar and you're ready for that before you get back. Yes, Carlos.
Someone asked about the registration for winter finals with matches as late as 12/11. What is the deadline to register for finals?
Yep, no deadline. Just let us know if you'll be attending, like when you know that you qualify. So there won't be a hard deadline. There's also not going to be like a morning registration where you have to show up in the morning. You're free to show up, right before your match or when you want time to warm up. The space is pretty nice. You'll be able to access the competition computers that you're playing on well in advance of your matches due to the two separate areas we have. James, there is a schedule linked in the agenda for the winter finals. Yes. All right. So on that note, for real this time, thank you all for joining. We're going to hang out for a while and answer any questions you have. But again, enjoy and let us know how we can help.